What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Reyes Reflection Podcast. I'm your host, Nathanael Reyes. Please do not forget to click the subscribe button so you can always stay up to date. I'm able to be heard on Spotify, Apple, Google, and YouTube. And of course, tell everyone you know to check out the show. The Reyes Ramble fact of the episode is going to be this. In a deck of cards, the King of Hearts is the only one without a mustache. The reason for this is because the heart is supposed to be pure and open and no reason for disguise. Hence, clean shaven. So there you go. I'm glad I can bless you all with that knowledge today. Now, I'm personally having a great time doing the show. I've had some friends on, I've had some strangers, I've had some on some celebrities, and it's been really cool to just be able to have these in-depth conversations and meet people from all walks of life and background. And this episode is no different. I'm super excited to have the chance to sit down and talk with her. She's an entrepreneur, the founder of One Way Nomad. She has visited 30 countries. She's a psychic medium, yoga enthusiast, and much more, which we will unpack all of that. So without further ado, please welcome to the show, Meesh. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me.
How are you on this glorious day?
Oh, it is very hot. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, and it is toasty today. So I'm trying my best to stay as close to the AC as possible.
Yeah, this heat wave is no joke. I'm in a sweater. I'm also in the New England area. I'm in a sweater, but it's because I'm in a modified regulated temperature room of 65 degrees. So
Nice.
I'll take it. I'll take it. So anyways, yeah, thank you for coming on. I know that the heat wave is brutal. Good thing we're not doing this episode outside. We would be toasting.
Yes.
And it's so crazy how it happens because the next couple of days are going to be like 75 and 80. So it's just welcome to New England. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I want to start off with One Way Nomad. Now, I'm familiar with the term of a nomad person, a person who doesn't have a permanent home. They're just kind of always seeking adventures. So can you give an elevator pitch as to what that is for you?
Yeah, most definitely. So I consider myself a one-way nomad. I only book one-way flights, and I'm a digital nomad, so I work online. And essentially, what I'm creating is this community of people by helping them find a remote career. And by securing this remote career, they're able to be location independent. With that independence, you can travel the globe, and there are countries who are jumping on this trend, who are offering digital nomad visas, who are welcoming, especially Americans, Canadians, and Europeans into their countries to work for extended periods of time. So essentially just helping them in that process from traditional career in an office to living in remote locations around the globe.
Wow, and that was an elevator pitch. Look at that. We're on the fourth floor. There you go. No, I love that. That's so awesome. That's the way the world is moving to nowadays. I mean, it really is. A lot of people, it's mobile, it's remote. People are always. That's why rent is what it is. People want to rent instead of buy because they want the flexibility to get up and leave as they so please. So I think that's incredible, and especially with technology nowadays, where it is, it's so convenient to be able to get up, move yourself, and go. And I think that's such a cool thing. So did a lot of this stem from yourself as an individual, you recognizing who you are and just wanting to have that mobility, have that adventure seeking type of feel?
Most definitely. I have been traveling for around 8 years now. So when I first started, I was working as a nanny in New Zealand. And once I left to New Zealand, I was hooked. I got the travel bug. I was all about travel. So then I'm like, all right, how do I continue traveling? All right, let's become a travel agent. Helping people travel, going around the globe. But then I'm realizing I'm staying in an office 9 to 6 and I'm helping other people travel, but I'm not traveling. So then I'm like, all right, well, let's go travel and find a job while traveling. So then I started becoming an English teacher in Thailand. And then I'm thinking, dang, this is not paying the bills and I'm still secure in one location. So then I'm like, all right, we want to travel, we want a job, but we need to work remotely and we want the job to have the flexibility of doing it from the computer. So then I started working for a company where I was selling virtual events and conferences. So from there, I started nomading digitally. So I started that about 3 years ago. And since then, I've lived in about 4 or 5 different countries for anywhere from 1 month to 6 months. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What are the countries that you obviously United States, what and so you said Thailand and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
New Zealand.
Mhm.
Uh Canada? Am I guessing? Am I right?
I wish. No, I've been to Montreal for only like a 3 day stint. But countries that I've lived in, so I consider living in a country at least 1 month, minimum 1 month. I've lived in Peru, Colombia, Mexico was my most recent one, New Zealand, Thailand, and England. Yeah, I worked as a nanny in England for about a year.
So you've also worked with children too.
Hmm. Yep. So
Okay, yeah. So that's my background as well. Yeah.
oh, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I mean that was my first job right out of college. I didn't want to do the 9 to 5, wasn't ready for it yet. So I found this company called Cultural Care Au Pair, and I naively looked at a map like this one, and I thought, where is the furthest location from Boston, right? And like naive, like this is a flat map. Clearly, the globe is round, unless you're a flat Earth theorist.
I'm not a flat earther.
We're not going to get into that,
Nope,
but
nope.
furthest location is this little island. I can even point it out in New Zealand. So
Yep.
that was my first country away from home, and I became a nanny or an au pair. So an au pair is someone who travels to another country to be a nanny, which is just a fancy word. But yeah, I lived there for a year, and that was my first taste of the travel bug and enjoying it.
So you really went like the farthest place. Wow. Yeah, I can see it on the map. Yeah. No, I'm not a flat earther. I jokingly do so with my friends, but I'm not. No, I'm not one. So you love to explore clearly,
Yeah.
and you visited 30 countries. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? I mean, on the map, do you have like a list or like little like push pins to show where you've been? Like that's so cool.
Yeah. I have one of those scratch maps that was given to me for Christmas a couple years ago. And it's so interesting because you think 30 countries is covering a lot of area, but like it's really not because I've been to more. So I've been to a couple of different locations. So New Zealand, in the South Pacific, I visited Australia and Fiji. When I was living in England, I visited like Northern Europe, Scotland, Wales, Belgium, Netherlands. When I was living in Thailand, Southeast Asia is really easy to navigate: Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia. And then most recently, I've been exploring Central and South America. So living in Mexico, and I made my way south. Before COVID, I was starting in Peru and trying to go north. But then 2020 happened. I got stuck in Ecuador in this beautiful little mountain town called Cuenca. But since then, I wanted to complete 30 countries before I turned 30. So I just turned 30 in November. So I completed the 30 countries in 8 years. And it's just been like a lot of little pocket destinations. This next couple of weeks, I'm still planning it out. I'm very spontaneous. I book flights like day of. I can't plan in advance. It just doesn't work. But I'm going to do more Eastern Europe, like the Balkan countries, Croatia, Slovenia, Macedonia, and that part of the world.
Wow. Yeah. That's an interesting point because you're right. Like I think a lot of people think that you are covering a lot of land, which it is. It is. It is and it isn't. It's kind of like a gray area, but
Yep.
it is in the sense of like I think comparatively to United States, a lot of those countries they're bordering other countries similar to how we're bordering states.
For sure.
So you are and you aren't, and you're driving by. If you do a road trip, you're passing. If I'm going here to California, I'm passing 20 somewhat states,
For sure.
but it's one country. Whereas for you, if you're doing that, you're crossing 15, 16 different countries. So I think that's a very cool point. And the scratch map must be insane. And I think that's must be a really cool visual. Do you have it like displayed for yourself?
I do at my childhood home. I do this every year. It's just kind of part of my personal my personal interest is that every year in August, which is the best time to be home in Boston, I come home, I drop off all the things that I've collected. I don't collect souvenirs. I collect like receipts and wristbands and tickets and sometimes shirts that I've like won or earned for doing something. And I put it all in this box that I have underneath my bed. And then I go and grab the scratch map, scratch off the countries I completed for that year. And yeah, I have everything in my childhood home. And that box of goodies is probably the most prized possession that I have. And yeah, it's nice to go back every year and continue to scratch each new country.
I was gonna ask you if you had any mementos, and I think that that's really cool. Of like the receipts and tickets and things like that. That's really cool. So, circling back, did you say you were stuck in Peru during the pandemic?
Yeah, so I was in Ecuador actually. So what I planned to do was start in Peru and then go north all the way to Mexico. So I would Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, next one, so on. But so I got into Cuenca, Ecuador, and I heard the news, and I was like, oh, this is just a hoax. Like they're fine. But then all of a sudden, there was no buses leaving Cuenca to any city. We were inside all day, every day. Thankfully, I was with a good friend of mine who we shared this house together, so it worked out nicely. But I was stuck. Not like, oh, I could probably get out if I really like. I was really stuck. There was no buses, and Ecuador was hit actually quite hard by the pandemic, just because their hospitals were just completely flooded, and it was really unfortunate in some of the major cities like Guayaquil. And yeah, but it was just a matter of staying inside. So I spent a beautiful 6 months in Cuenca, Ecuador. But if I had a choice, I probably would have picked a more beach location. I'm a beach girl personally, but it was a little bit stressful. I think my parents were more stressed than I was, but I had a home. I still had my job because I was working remotely.
Right.
So it was just kind of a nuisance more than stressful.
I was gonna say that must have terrified your family more than yourself, because it's like, wait, what? Why she's stuck in a different country? What? Like, how do I help her? How do I get her back in the States? But no, it sounds like that there's worse places that you could have been stuck in. So I'm glad that at least it was a cute little what you said, like mountain town or something like that.
Yeah, it's
That's
a little
awesome.
mountain town in Ecuador. It's really, I would say it's mostly known for its churches. There's like, I don't know, 45 churches in this small little city. And it's a beautiful city. And I mean, I'd love to go back and see it again. But at the same time, there's just so many other places in the world that I'm trying to explore that might end up lower on the list of priorities to see a second time.
Lower on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You already did it. And hopefully there's not another pandemic in the future, but if there is, hopefully you're stuck in a beach.
I think so. I hope so. That's why I purposely pick beaches now. I think I know myself well enough that every time I go to a mountain town, I spend only like 1 or 2 weeks, and then I'm like, all right, I'm done. Let's go back to the water. I'm just a water person, surfing, scuba diving, island life. It's just made for me.
I hated the beach up until the last like year and a half. I
Really?
recently have found a new love for it. Because prior to that, maybe I'm a little bit of a brat, but prior to that, I was like, I don't like the sand everywhere. I don't like this. And then a bunch of people around me would be like, yes, but that's the experience. Like, that's part of it. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want. And now I'm like, I actually don't mind it. Like, it's actually a really nice, nice little. Also, I will share this because you're from Boston.
Yeah.
Hampton and Salisbury can be so packed that they are not pleasurable whatsoever. So I think I think I was unintentionally scarred. But again, I digress. I recently found a new love for it, so I'm excited for that.
Good.
And you also said your birthday's in November. Sagittarius?
Yes, Sagittarius sun. I got a Leo in the moon, and I also have a rising in Aries. I am very into astrology, and yes, I check everyone's astrology chart or birth charts before I ever start dating them.
Yeah.
I'll admit
Yeah,
it. I'll admit it.
you're like, I have to see if it lines up, if it does. I'm not so big into astrology, but I do because I mean, sometimes I think there's some generalities at times, but in other aspects, I think it's like pretty cool to like see the differences of personalities and things like that.
For sure.
Although I'm unfamiliar with the rising, I'm unfamiliar with that type of stuff. To be honest, my astrology as far as for me is remember those little dinner trays at Chinese places, and it would say like what animal you were. That
Yeah.
was the and to be honest with you, so you're a Sagittarius and as am I. So I think we're the rooster or something like that. And that was
Yeah.
and that was one that I did not. So I'll admit it. When I was like 8 or 9, I would fib and try to say I'm a cooler animal because I was like, I don't want to be a rooster. Yeah,
That'll
no,
do.
forget that.
That'll do.
So,
Cool.
um, so what would you say is the coolest place that you visited?
Ooh,
I know that's kind of a loaded question. I know.
yeah. I always get the question, what's your favorite country? And I'm like, that's not possible.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I would say the food with or the country with the best food,
Oh,
Thailand. Thailand
I
with
love Thailand. Yeah, I love Thai food.
it is a close runner up though with Mexico because they both know how to do spices so well and they have such unique dishes. So Thailand or Mexico, probably top spot. Um, the coolest experience. Oh, I just did this. This was in Guatemala. I did this in October. There's a mountain range that you can hike called Acatenango. And once you get to the top of one of the volcanoes, you can actually watch an erupting volcano like right in front of you. And it erupts every 15 minutes.
Oh, that
So
would
you'll
scare
just be
me.
like hanging out and it just erupts. And then there's lava and then it erupts. The only problem is you can't sleep because every 15 minutes it's just exploding and it explodes. And it's called fuego, which in Spanish means fire.
Yep.
So waking up to that and then waking up at 3 a.m. to do a summit hike to see the volcano at summit with like the clouds rolling in. Just so majestic. So majestic.
Oh my goodness, you must have amazing photos though.
Yeah, yeah. On my Instagram, I have made so many reels because I love to dance. I love to dance. And anyone who travels with me has to understand that they need to dance too. So I have me and my two friends dancing at the top of volcano, dancing at the top of sandboarding, dancing in the middle of cities. I need it for the story. I do it for the story, and I need a good video of people dancing in all these bizarre places to just reaffirm that anyone can do this, and it's just about enjoying the experience as it is in the present
Yeah,
moment.
like if you're not doing salsa on top of a volcano, we can't be friends.
Nope, no, not at all, not at all. Yeah, and that's what I love. I love to dance and travel, and then I just combine the two, and I think because I have no fear of dancing in front of people, I will just naturally grab people, like random people that are around me and have them dance with me because it's by numbers.
Yeah,
So yeah, I have a lot of dancing videos in all sorts of places, underwater, above volcanoes, in the middle of cities. Yeah, it's just a part of the experience for me.
that's awesome. That's awesome. You also said that you were a very spontaneous person. I like to think I like to think the spontaneity of my life is also similar. So is it for you? Is it one of those things where you're just like, oh hey, like I need to go here. I need to like I saw this video. I need to book my flight. I'm going. Is that how it is for you?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, at this point, because I work remotely and now I work for myself, like I love when people are like, oh, do you think you could join? I'm like, I don't know, I'll ask my boss. And, or I joke about me being, the horrible boss or so strict. And
Let me get in touch. Let me get in touch with the inner boss here.
let me
Yeah.
get in touch. I'll let you know. But yeah, I really wish I was a planner and I truly am not. Even when I took my two friends traveling or my other friends traveling, I just send them like itineraries that like I find on websites and I'm like, this is what we're going to do, maybe. But I believe in serendipity and I believe that you might get to a place and you might hate it, and you might get to a place you never thought you would enjoy, and you fall in love and stay for like weeks at a time. So I keep plans very, very, very flexible with a little bit of highlights of things that I really want to do. But I never go in with a big plan. Sometimes I don't even go in with accommodations because I'm just like, someone will have a room available. I'll figure it out. Let me look on Airbnb, booking.com, this application, that application. When I want to go, I go, and I don't really think twice about it. It's a matter of making sure that I have the money to do it, which the universe doesn't always want me. Yeah.
I love that. I was literally having this conversation yesterday, and I said, the world is the world is a massive place, but we're almost programmed to make it seem small. And this is and this might offend some people. I hope it doesn't. But unfortunately, we get into these patterns where it causes us to be mundane, where we wake up, we go to our 9 to 5 or whatever, whatever configuration of hours that you work, 8 hours, 7 to 3, whatever, you get the point. Yep. So you work your 8-hour job, then you go and you cook. You're driving an hour to your job, an hour back from your job. You're cooking dinner, and you're almost programmed, unfortunately, to have this mundane type of mindset. Yep. It's not until you can kind of push your own anxieties and push your own self-doubt in which you're like, wait a minute, there's so much of the world that I haven't explored. Even just you're talking countries, even just in the United States alone, even in your own country, there's so much. There's different parts of the United States, I'm sure you've been where I'm like, whoa, this is night and day from how it is in New England or how it is in this, region of the United States. So for me, it's one of those things where I always encourage people to travel because, we'll get more into it. But like, for me, it's like, you have one life, like you experience as much as you can. And I think a lot of the times people think of the quantity of one is very small. So, and if you don't think that way, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, I can't think like, oh, I'll do it in 5 years. I'll do it in 10 years. I may not be able to make it in 5 and 10 years. You never know what can happen. So try to live those experiences now. So I love the spontaneity. I love the just carefree mindset. I love the dancing. I mean, I'm not a good dancer, but I commit. So it looks like I'm good.
Yeah.
And I will admit this. Most of the time I'm dancing is at weddings and stuff. Sure. And I'm not a drinker, but all my friends and family, they have a few. And so they're like, man, this guy's really good. And it's like, no, I'm not. You're just really out of it. And you're really, and it looks like it, but I'll accept it. So, and like I said, I just commit to it. I wanted to ask you this, as we kind of rambled off, which I love getting into these rabbit holes. What's the scariest place? And what I mean by that is like, obviously there's like different vibes and different energies in different countries. I've talked to a friend at one point she said she went to, I forget where she went to. This was years back, 8-9 years. And she said she went to this place where it was dark almost the entire time. And it was only like 3-4 hours a day. So like, I share that because I want to ask you, what to you was kind of like, oh, this is kind of like an ominous type of feel. Like, I mean, it's cool, but because I'm in a different country, but this is just like a different vibe for me.
Yeah. I would say there's probably 2 places I would consider in terms of like the fear factor. In 8 years, I've never been robbed. I've never been mugged. I've never been like assaulted. And I'm like very happy to say that because I mean, I've been out at 2-3 in the morning in foreign locations. I hope my parents aren't listening. But like, and I probably shouldn't have been out in those locations. But the only time I can ever remember being scared is I was walking home too late in Thailand. And it was a small little town in the mountains. And I was with 2 other girls, one from Canada and one from Germany. And all of a sudden, there's just a pack of street dogs and they're circling us. And we're like, oh my God, this is it. Like we're we're gonna get mauled by these dogs. Like there was at least 15 dogs, and they were not happy. We must have turned on the wrong road, but they're in other countries. I mean, dogs for us are family, but in most countries and other parts of the globe, dogs are protection. Dogs are territory. Dogs are outside 24/7. They never come in the house unless they're eating. So we're looking at these dogs, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? This girl from Canada started like speaking in Thai to them. And me and the German are like, you speak Thai? And she's just starting to talk to the dogs like, hi, how are you? It's okay. We're not here to harm you. And then the dogs start walking to her as if like she was a local. And like we started slowly just walking away as if like these dogs were ours, and we were fine. I'm like, and then she's like, oh, yeah, I'm part Thai. My mom is Thai. So I know like 3 words in Thai. And all she was saying to them was, hello, my name is, and good day. And that's all she was saying for like 3 minutes as we slowly started walking away. And I'm like, oh my God, that was scary. That was terrifying. I've heard of many dog attacks in Southeast Asia because people are intoxicated and treat dogs like we do in the US. And it's just not the case. It's like, you're going up into the hood and you're playing with like these street dogs who know nothing more than just mark their territory. That was one. And the other one is being in the jungle in the Amazon. For some reason, I thought the Amazon jungle was going to be so quiet and serene. It is loud. The jungle is so loud. There are animals that are just making noises. I'm in this hut where the only thing between me and the jungle are these screens. And I'm like, oh my God, there is something underneath my cabin. And I'm like, I am not moving. I turn on my light. There's this lizard that just ate another lizard. And I'm like, why did I come here? So I think those two, the dogs or the jungle, were probably the two of the scariest experiences since traveling.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a thank goodness that you've never been mauled or you've never been assaulted or robbed. So I mean, thank goodness. That's insane. Yeah. And you're totally right. The dogs, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of dogs are stray, or they're like fighting for survival out there in different parts of the world. Whereas like here, they're, like you said, they're family. I have my 2 little ones right there. They're we love them. We treat them like they're people. I talk to my dogs like they're people. I'm like, how's it going? Are you having a good day? What do you want to eat? And people are like, they don't even talk back. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but you still do. But thank goodness for your friend that speaks Thai. That definitely helped you out. That definitely did.
Yeah.
And then the jungle. Wow. I mean, that must have been insane. I'm personally, I like to think I'm pretty fearless, but the jungle scares me for 2 reasons.
Yep.
I've seen 2 movies where they have like tribes, like cannibalistic tribes, and that's scary. I don't know if that's true or not, but it has scarred me from ever even wanting to try to go there, because I'm like, I'm not messing with that. I'm not trying that in my life. Nope.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was from where I know the cannibalistic tribes are more in like Papua New Guinea, which is like in the ocean near Indonesia. That is like a tribe that.
Oh, so that's real?
It is actually. So there's a book, I can't think of it right now. I read it for sociology my first year of college, where they believed that the people that, the body of a person that has passed away still has the soul. So you eat the person as you are eating their soul, and you're taking in part of it as a sign of respect. I don't know. But I was actually with a tribe in the Amazon called the Shipibo. They're a tribe mostly of Peru. And the reason being is that they're mostly geared towards plant medicine. So they offer ceremonies working with the plant ayahuasca, bobinsana, ahosacha. And this was a spiritual retreat that I was attending. So it was nice to be a part of a tribe experience, but there was no cannibalism. At least from what I saw, there was no cannibalism.
Okay. All right. So a little terrified that they are real, but you did assuage some insecurities and some doubt of, okay, I could go to some places and but no, yeah. Oh, Indonesia. Yeah, I think I saw something online that said that there's one tribe out there that is completely discommunicated, like does not communicate with any outside world things. So anything outside world, and I think even the government sets a perimeter to make sure people don't go farther in and
Yep.
things like that too. So as long as I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm
They
fine.
have their spot. They have their spot. Yeah, and it's very similar even in the Amazon as well in South America, which is even closer to us. There are tribes that have no communication with the outside world and they prefer to keep it that way. And anyone who has tried to like intervene on their tribes or into their territory, there has been cases of people going missing or passing away because they're in a territory, and just let them be, just let them live their lives. They don't need technology, they don't want to integrate. Just let them continue on with their experiences. But yeah, it's still quite common. South America and South in the Pacific. I'm not entirely sure of Africa. I would suspect that there are some tribes, but yeah, we kind of disassociate that because we don't really think about it that much, that there are still people that are not integrated into like the first world cultures yet.
Exactly. As I was saying, we're kind of in our own world at times, and then we forget that there's a big world around us moving around. So,
For sure.
um, where would you say is the place you most want to go?
Ooh, so I have been mostly to Southeast Asia. I call it Jungle Asia because that's kind of like, it's still back in the day. It's obviously modernizing, but then you have like rich Asia, which is like China, Korea, Japan, the very developed countries. But I have been really interested in going to the Philippines. I've had so many incredible friends tell me that the Philippines were amazing. There's incredible beaches. They have whale sharks. They have just all the beautiful things of Southeast Asia, but a little bit more modern, like rich Asia. So yeah, the Philippines is hopefully coming up, I would say within the next 2 years.
All right, that should
Yeah.
go. All right, I like it. So you want the blend of both worlds,
Yeah.
really, is what you're. Yeah, no, that's really cool. That's really cool. So I see on your Instagram you have 30 of 190. Is that or 195? Is that right? So is the goal to really make it to all the 160 countries?
Yeah. It's definitely a great attempt. There are surely I believe 3 countries as of this point that we are, as US citizens, we can't travel to, period, regardless, unless you have like unless you have like prior authorization. But it's so interesting because 30 by 30 was like a goal I had set, and I told everyone about it. When I have a goal, I tell everyone, so then like everyone else is holding me accountable, almost like, hey, what number are you at? And I'm like, oh God, I still have 7 more to go and I have a year to do it. So it's kind of like holding me accountable. But now it's like I haven't really set like a number goal yet. It's more just like, let's see how many we can do with the rest of the time that we have on this physical experience. So it would be nice. Hitting 100, I definitely need like to celebrate somehow.
Yeah,
But
for sure. Even 50, you might have to. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's no
it'll
small feat.
yeah, it'll definitely happen sooner than I expect. Especially traveling to Eastern Europe, I will probably hit up maybe 5 or 6 countries in a very short period. So that'll be really nice. But yeah, it would be nice to do all countries across the globe, but at the same time, the number of countries can always change and shift. That has been happening even till I don't know which is the most recent country that had the change, but like only a couple decades ago, Malaysia or where was it? Like Russia was the USSR. You had
Czechoslovakia, yeah.
yeah, Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
You had Burma, which is modern day Myanmar. The number might change. Who knows? And I don't know. Maybe the United States will become multiple countries too. That would be cool. I don't. Probably never going to happen, but could happen.
like I said, I had this conversation. I said this the other. California could be its own country.
For sure.
It's seven. It has as many people as the entire country of Canada.
Yeah.
And in terms of like the economic state of the country, sorry, of the economics, like the economy of the state of California. I get super excited about this. Sorry, because I literally was having this conversation.
Yeah.
It's like top 5 in the world, so it really could sustain its own type of living out there. And it's just insane that it's like, no, it's a state, but it really could be its own separate country. It really could, with the population and the economy. It really could. But it's connected to the 48 other ones. So and let's face it, United States is kind of territorial, and we're kind of like, nope, that's ours. So I don't think we'll ever do anything like that. So
I'd say so. But yeah, it would be nice to visit as many as possible. We'll see. I know, of course, like, who knows what's going to happen with North Korea? I mean, that's a country, as a U.S. citizen, we are not allowed to travel to unless you have like top ranking security.
Or your Dennis Rodman.
That too. Or you have a lot of money. Or you have a lot of money. So, I mean, this can also change on a day's notice too. Like we saw in 2020, like the whole world shut down and we weren't able to travel to any countries for any circumstance, regardless, except Mexico. Mexico has been like, they're like, come in, no vaccines, no tests, no nothing. Come join us, which is incredible, which is why I chose Mexico to travel to. But you never know. I mean, countries can change all the time. We might be able to visit some countries. We might be restricted from other countries. It's all politics and economy, which is challenging for the typical nomad, but we do our best to accommodate.
Yeah. We make it work in whatever way we can. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's really cool. And I'm really glad that you were able to share all that with us. I mean, I think that that's so cool for the show. I love hearing about this stuff and chatting about these experiences because they're super cool. And I would definitely love to do that. And I'm going to hold you accountable as well, just so you know, because you said Philippines in about 2 years. So if I don't see anything on Instagram in 2 years, I'm going to say, hey, Meesh, what's going on? You said Philippines in 2 years. So
I think so. 2023, 2024, because I'm making my way east. And I think it's going to end up in the itinerary unless something happens where I get stuck somewhere else again. I hope I get stuck in the Philippines, but I will do my absolute best. Yeah.
We love it. Love it. I want to transition into this mediumship, which I personally did not know what that was until about a year ago. Yeah. So can you describe what that is in layman's terms?
Yeah, for sure. So I see dead people. I mean, I see spirit guides. I see family and friends who have passed on, and I am able to communicate with them. Where it's this a medium. If you think about a medium, is someone in between. So I am a medium in between the spiritual world and the physical world that we live in.
Wow. Yeah. So how did you get into this? What did you lose a loved one? Like, how did you get into this?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've only been practicing with the public for about a year now. My sister actually called me and she was like, hey, guess what? I'm a medium. I'm like, no, you're not. Shut up. You're not a medium. She's like, no, I am. And I was like, all right, prove it. So she started doing readings and she was reading for my friends who she's never met before. And she was accurate. And I was like, being a little sister, she's about 10 years older than me. So I have to do everything that she does. So I'm like, all right.
And better.
Yeah, and better. And I was like, all right, how do you do it? She's like, I don't know. You just kind of like, you meditate and then you think. And I'm like, stop. So I was in Mexico with a friend, and I've always felt this, and I've always said something. I always used to say, like, I feel like there's somebody in the room. As a kid, I never slept in my own bedroom because I always felt like there was someone in the room. So I slept on the couch downstairs, like in the living room next to the kitchen, because it's more normal to hear people like entering a home through a kitchen. And so I'm sitting with my friend, we're in Mexico, and I'm like, can I just try something with you? And I started describing this person and what they were saying and what they were doing. And he was just so shocked. He's like, there is no way you could have known that. And I'm like, all right, well, let's try, this other girl. So this other girl was with us, and she's like, I don't believe in this stuff. And I said, that's fine. You don't have to believe it. Let me just try. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this butterfly, this beautiful jungle blue butterfly, just came in and landed on the table of like this patio we were sitting on. And I turned to her and I said, your aunt wanted me to tell you that that butterfly is her. And she's like, there is no way you could have known that. And I'm like, why? She's like, my aunt would always say that when butterflies arrived, it meant someone who had passed was visiting you. And I'm like, no. So then we kept going. And then I was like, all right, there's this guy here, but he looks exactly like you, like as if like you guys could be brother and sister or like close cousins. And she's like, I was a twin and my twin died when we were born. And I'm like, all right, I'm a medium. I called my sister back. I'm like, me too. And so then I asked her, I was like, are you okay if I start offering this to the public, asking her like, because she introduced me to it. And she's like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. So yeah, for the past year, I've done about 75 to 100 readings. And my craft just keeps getting better. I'm seeing colors now. I'm hearing a lot more voices. And then I'm also able, like when people are ready to schedule an appointment with me, I will know that they schedule the appointment before they actually go to my calendar, because I'll hear the ringing. It's kind of like the ringing you get after after like a really loud concert. So I'll get the ringing and then I'll get an email that says I have a medium reading scheduled. So I'm like, all right, slowly we're learning how to use this gift, rather than just like, why is there someone walking around my bedroom right now, and just feeling that feeling.
Yeah. Like I said, and I'm glad that you touched base on it. I'll be upfront with you. Like I'm kind of skeptical of it. Like I'll be upfront with it but I'm never going to not say no to trying something. Mm-hmm. I've never been that type of person. So I share that with you because although I may be skeptical, I will love to schedule one. Yeah. With an open mind and definitely try to experience it, because I definitely feel like I've had a lot happen in my life where I'm kind of in this influx, in this in between, where it's like I'm trying to figure out my own spirituality, I guess you could say, or my own kind of like beliefs and things like that. So I definitely would love to kind of schedule one. So after we're done with this, you could send me the link or whatever, and we'll try to make it happen. So it's so cool to hear. And like I said, I was unfamiliar with it until my friend randomly one time about a year ago said something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm seeing speaking to a medium," and that was it. Like I think I asked him what he's doing, and at the time I was like, "What does that mean?" Like you said, middle. I'm thinking, what are you in the middle of? Like medium shirt, medium pants? Like what's going on? Who are you talking to? And I Googled it, and it wasn't until I Googled it where I saw that it's a much more spiritual trance that you kind of are subject yourself to kind of help yourself to speak with loved ones or anything like that, or even just receive messages excuse me. And on top of that, I watch Unsolved Mysteries. I don't know if you've seen that show.
Yep.
I find that stuff so cool whenever they show scenarios like that. And so to me, it's one of those things where, like I said, I've never been in a position where I can be like, no, I've experienced this and I believe it, but I definitely would love to try it. So like I said, send me it afterwards, and after we're done with this, and we'll get into it. So
yeah, please do. Actually, I mean, the thing with being a medium is it's not for me. I thought I wanted to make it into a business, but once I started doing it for like business purposes, I started feeling like icky about offering the readings, because I don't know, the exchange of energy is just different. And it's just so interesting because when you said like I'd be interested in doing a reading, I had a female just like come in and then leave really quickly. I don't know if it's connected to you, but I got the ringing. My left side is for females, my right side is for males. But when you said that, there was like, it just like came in, it started ringing, and then it just disappeared. So I'm just curious if that was connected to you at all.
Look at that. All right. Like I said, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try it.
Sure.
On top of the spiritual trans and things like that, you also, we said it, you love yogi. You're a yogi. Can you explain to some people, just like, is it so do you do different forms of yoga? Like, is that how you stay fit? Like, what is that to you?
Yeah. So the thing is, yoga has transformed a lot in the past, I would say, 20 years or so. I mean, originating mostly from India and Nepal and that part of the world. It's a spiritual practice. It's the idea that meditation is a space where it's the emptiness, it's the letting go, it's a spiritual practice. And that's where my journey of spirituality started. Back when I went to New Zealand, I took my first yoga class, and then I started doing, all these different types of meditations and breath work, and that introduced me to plant medicine as well. But I mean, I know a lot of people are using it for like the fitness journey, which is a great opportunity to do so. For me personally, I do it more for like the spiritual experience of, certain poses will open up certain chakras within your body, which a chakra is an energy center in your body. We have hundreds of energy centers in our body. We have 7 principal energy centers, which a lot of people are probably familiar with. But it's really, for me, it's been about connecting to a community of people that understand that there is a power greater than ourselves working, and we are using this physical body to manipulate the physical world, but that we are a being beyond this physical body, and we can work within energy centers if we're having any troubles, like if we're feeling very like up in the air, we don't know what we want to do, we're confused, we feel like we're kind of like a plastic bag and we're just floating through windy streets. That means you need to focus on your lower chakras and become more grounded. So there's a lot of grounding exercises specifically in yoga. Or if you're just like, you're so in your head and you're clouded and you're overthinking and you're anxious, then it's time to work on your third eye and really start focusing in on what is actually your truth and your purpose in this particular world. So for me, yoga has been a spiritual practice more than kind of like a fitness journey for some people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I attempted it in the fitness aspect, and I struggled just because I'm not really a flexible individual. I'm more clanky in my movements, but I definitely do see what you're saying about how it's a spiritual, because I even like I don't know what it's called, but at the end when you kind of everyone loves that, right? Everyone loves that, right? Yeah, and you're for the people who are unfamiliar, you kind of it really is. I will admit, it really is a spiritual outer being experience, because like you're thanking yourself for being there, to showed up, and then you like kind of almost, it's not like a nap, but it's like you relax your physical body, but your mind is like it's so crazy it's hard to explain, it's hard to put into words, but I love it because a lot of people are like, in the physical aspect of it, it's oh, I'm resting after I worked out, right? But in the spiritual aspect, it really is a calming of your physical body,
Yep.
and your and that type of aspect. So I like that part. I definitely do. I do like the meditation aspect of it in that regard. I think the physical aspect is a lot more of the flexibility, which
Mhm.
I think, at least for me, deters me from it, because it's like I said, I'm not. I try it, and like this poses that they'll have, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna skip that one. I'm gonna stick to the ones that I can, like what is it, child's pose? Like
Yeah, that'll do.
I'll stick to that one because that one's easy. But no, I definitely think that that's really cool. How you said that you use it for the spiritual aspect of it, and I definitely can see what you're talking about and those components and things like that. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you always end your practice with namaste, which is, your teacher will always say namaste,
Yeah.
which translates to the light in me recognizes the light in you, which is this idea that, we have this physical body, right? We're playing with it, we're manipulating it, we're, working with it, but understanding that deeper within ourselves there is a light, and that is who you are. If you want to call it your soul, if you want to call it your being, whatever word you want to connect it to, but that's the idea of ending the experience with namaste, so that the light in me recognizes the light in you.
And that's why I love outdoor yoga. I don't know if you've ever done that, but one, I love nature, and two, I'm a big believer in like grounding and earthing and the benefits of that. So for me, I love outdoors because that reason I'm focusing on the spiritual aspect of it, but I'm also getting the, electric charges from Mother Earth that are helping me to like recuperate my body. That's what I believe. I'm big into that. I love that type of stuff. I love walking around on the grass barefoot. It's a great feeling.
Yes.
And the crazy thing is, we did that when we were like, what, 5, 6? And then we like just stopped doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I used to run around barefoot all the time. And then now it's like you're wearing shoes almost all the time. And so for me, it's one of those things where I love the way it feels. I love being grounded into the earth. I think it helps center me in. So I don't know about you, but that's just me.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, that's why I love the beach and I love the ocean, because I mean, even just submerging your body in a body of water, especially a natural body of water, a lake, an ocean, whatever it may be, it does so many beautiful things for your body. I mean, we are 70% water. Our earth is 70% water. If we get into the water, then we will feel more like we are a part of it. So I totally agree. Yeah, rubber-soled shoes were probably the worst thing to ever happen, worst and best thing to ever happen to us. But yes, I am also a very big proponent on grounding and earthing.
Yep. Love it. Well, thank you so much for doing this show. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day. Where can people find you? I know you talked a little bit about Instagram. I also know you're a TikTok star. So where can people find you so that way they can get in touch with you and also just to see your adventures and things of that nature?
Yeah, I would definitely say Instagram's your best spot. Meesh, MEESH .Carra, which is my last name, CARRA. That's my best spot. It has a link to my website as well. It has a link to my mediumship. So Instagram's going to be your best spot to connect.
All right, on the gram, do it for the gram.
Yeah.
We love it. So thank you so much for doing it. That's gonna do it for today's episode. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everyone for listening. As always, may you live, may you love, and may you thrive. I love you all. Take care, everyone.